Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Davo from Archon Esports, bringing you another 1v1 StarCraft 2 cast today. This time on Shattered Temple. This time with two awesome players, as per usual. In the top side, I suppose, we have GameOfDrones. Excellent. We will get to who he is in a minute. And many of you should know who he is, even if it's not clear at this point. And then in the bottom, we have NMxFAGGLE, who is our blue Protoss. He is a Canadian player, awesome member of Team Nightmare. That's what the NM stands for. Let me just put these little bits up here. Excellent. And he is a member of Team Nightmare, which are a pretty good professional gaming team. Looks like he won't be doing any sort of fast expand against GameOfDrones, as the pylon is not on the low ground. It's a very common tactic to see Protoss expanding on the low ground, but maybe this little gap here, or this rather large gap here, was perhaps too much for him to block off, in his opinion. Anyway, right, back to GameOfDrones. Why is GameOfDrones? Why is he a popular player? Well, for a start, he is actually Liquid TLO. He has been playing under the guise of GameOfDrones since he has come back from his injury that he has gained, which he had carpal tunnel, unfortunately, in both of his hands from playing too much StarCraft, I believe. Of course, that's very painful, but if you haven't heard of TLO, or Liquid TLO as he is known, or the little one, which TLO actually stands for, he is a very successful player indeed. I believe he started off playing random. He might have actually started off playing Zerg. My history is a little bit mixed up on him. And then he played Terran for a very long time indeed, until he accidentally contracted his disease, unfortunately. But now he is back in full fury with GameOfDrones, which is of course a hilarious pun of Game of Thrones. I saw on Reddit the other day a picture of him kind of looking very Games of Throney. Somebody had photoshopped it together. It does look like NMxFAGGLE is being as annoying as possible, and boom, there goes down the pylon, just so he can carry on being as annoying as humanly possible for GameOfDrones today. Also, GameOfDrones is in Grandmaster League. Of course, he is very high in Grandmaster League. I believe he's ranked 37 at the time of this game being cast. I may be wrong on that, as I haven't actually written it down, which is unusual for me, because I usually write things down. And NMxFAGGLE is, I believe, second in Masters League at the moment as well. Hooray! Awesome. Also, I don't think I've mentioned yet in this cast that GameOfDrones, aka the little one, is actually part of Team Germany's Esports team. Yay! Because he's really that good and very popular indeed. Awesome. He also wins quite a lot of tournaments. And of course, he is part of Team Liquid still, which has such great players. Well, it had such great players. It had Huck in it for a start, who is the very high-level Protoss player who has actually since switched to Team EG. But that is another story for another day. Excellent. Okay, so we do have a Zergling here from GameOfDrones who is just waiting outside NMxFAGGLE's base, waiting for some sort of move out, which isn't actually coming. And we do have a sentry being chrono boosted out, so of course NMxFAGGLE can force field his ramp if he needs to, which is very good. Kind of one zealot with force field at the bottom of the ramp is a very nice successful tactic, and another force field coming out too, giving him extra defensive capabilities. We do have GameOfDrones clearing away these destructible rocks here, so it does look like he'll be possibly going for his third expansion sooner rather than later. The Queen already in position. Really nice management here from GameOfDrones, because the Queen is already here, ready to inject her lava into the hatchery once it is fully popped. And I dare say it will pretty much be an instantaneous thing. There we go, and there we go, there is the inject right there. Also, we do have some pretty nice creep spray going on as well, which of course makes the Zerg army quite a lot more manoeuvrable. Meanwhile, in NMxFAGGLE's base, or NMxFAGGLE's beginnings of his second base, we do have an expansion going down here. Now, quite a lot of Protoss players do like to expand early, as I said earlier, and it does look like perhaps with his building positioning he is going to be blocking this in some way. They do like to kind of leave it so units have to come around a specific way as well. That is one of the ways that a lot of Protoss players do like to play this as well. Pylon here very good, of course. If pylons get taken up on the high ground, he can still warp units in up there as long as he has vision, which is of course very important. The warp gate research finishing, and the warp gates being opened for NMxFAGGLE as well, which will of course allow him to reinforce incredibly quickly. This Stalker looking like he's going to have a quick look about for Overlords, but unfortunately not going to be able to find anything or take anything out today, which is a bit of a bummer. These Zerglings still cracking away at the destructible rocks, really going for it. Unfortunately, Zerg cannot set explosives or anything like that, so they are in fact just going to claw away at this massive clump of rocks until they are gone. Who can blame them? And we do have 2 spine crawlers going down for Game of Drones as well. Perhaps he is worried about some sort of aggression, which at this point in time looks like it may very well be coming from Faggle, but I'm not sure if he has quite enough to attack in any sort of strong manner against 2 spine crawlers at the moment. However, with the dawn of this pylon, it does look like he'll be able to reinforce his army quite nicely. Also, just as a quick side note, Game of Drones is actually taking his 3rd base right now, which will give him an economic lead for now, or at least once he gets up and running. I think Faggle, they're deciding that maybe it's not worth it and just cancelling the pylon instead, and it does look like Game of Drones will be going for either some sort of run-by, but I mean, it won't be much of a run-by with only 4 Zerglings, or he was going to go do some scouting, but he's not doing either. And it does look like that small detachment of Zerglings so it's going to get cleared up. Now, it does look like Faggle is going to be taking the high-yield base, which will definitely give him an economic advantage, especially seeing as Protoss aren't usually known for taking their 3rd that quickly. I mean, in this situation, what's going on is neither players are being particularly aggressive in the early mid-game and the early game as well. So it does look like it is a bit of a macro free-for-all at the moment. There's not too much going on. Also, Game of Drones actually going to be expanding to this location as well, which of course will put him back on the top of the pile as far as economy is concerned. This base coming up for Game of Drones right now, so he is very much on top of the amount of income coming in. We also have a Spire on the way for Game of Drones as well, which of course Protoss lately have been known to suffer to Spires a little bit, but as we can see so far, Game of Drones income is quite a lot higher than his enemies, and once he puts down this hatchery here, which has just gone down right now, we might actually see the mineral count go into the 2k region. Should be pretty interesting indeed. Faggle is getting that blink upgrade that he will need to protect against the Mutalisk harassment, which is surely on the way from a Spire-making Game of Drones right now. And this is one of these matchups where the watchtower positioning is really, really important, especially seeing as our players are at cross positions today. Whoever owns that watchtower will know what's coming. But of course, being Zerg, Game of Drones does have the ability to get creep as well, and therefore just give himself quite a lot of vision of what his enemy is doing. Now, these Zerglings do look like they're going to be going and finding this brand new Nexus that is going down for Faggle. It will definitely probably get cleared up. Oh, with some nice force fields around the Nexus, not allowing it to get taken out. So Faggle is definitely going to be wanting to keep this expansion, seeing as he's put quite a lot of money into, quite a lot of energy from these sentries. He does a lot of sentries, though, into keeping this Nexus up. But I mean, Game of Drones does know about it now, so he knows about what his opponent is doing. We also have quite a lot of spine crawlers coming out as well, and as it has been dubbed by some players, there is a wall of crawl going down as well, which actually in this stage of the game can be considered fairly impenetrable, or well, I mean, ish, if you get the right units to it. Of course it is not like air units, because spine crawlers cannot jab at things in an upwards direction, unfortunately. Now, we do have the Mutalisks coming out here for Game of Drones. They do look like they'll be doing some harassment almost pretty much as soon as they come out, just waiting for that last straggler there to group up with them. And I dare say that they're going to be going and having a poke into this high yield expansion, maybe taking out a couple of probes as well, being micro quite nicely against that cannon too, making sure that the cannon can't kill too many Mutalisks at all. On the other hand, we do have Faggle making a little bit of a push here. Game of Drones being kind of stopped a tiny bit by the cannons, but destroying quite a lot of probes as well with that Mutalisk harass. Unfortunately, the amount of cannon... Oh, there's not really many cannons in the back here, but fortunately for Game... Oh, hello, we have a blink up here into the main base of Game of Drones, and it does look like these Stalkers are going to get trapped if they're not careful. Luckily, they do have blink, so they are perfectly able to get away quite nicely. Yeah, sorry, I had to just switch off there. from what the Mutalisks were doing into the blink aggression from Game of Drones that was happening. Sorry, from FAGGLE to Game of Drones. That was happening to Game of Drones from FAGGLE. I got it there. I got there in the end. It was right in the end. There we go. Excellent. And here we do have Game of Drones now saturating his high yield expansion and a really, really big attack in the middle coming down here. We do have a lot of micro from our Protoss player, but I don't think it's going to be good enough. These Zerglings are definitely going to clear up these Stalkers. Zerglings do a lot of damage versus Stalkers, but this is something that Game of Drones might not want to move into, as there is a lot of photon cannon there. I definitely say that Game of Drones came out better on... Wow, that's a lot of Mutalisks. Came out on top of that engagement, and it does look like he might actually be taking this game, as the Mutalisk ball can be particularly deadly against Protoss. So it does look like said Mutalisk ball is going to be heading out now and doing some damage to the main of FAGGLE. It does look like... Unfortunately, I don't think this is enough Stalkers to actually deal with this many Mutalisks. I'm not entirely sure just yet. But I think Game of Drones knows it and is being very, very aggressive as well, destroying quite a lot of his enemies' structures. And here we do Game of Drones taking on his opponent's Stalkers with... Oh, and here comes some High Templar. If they do get converted into Archons, it could be very, very dangerous for the Mutalisks indeed, but that doesn't look like it was going to be able to happen before they got taken out by the Mutalisks themselves. This is a lot of Mutalisks, and Protoss can really, really suffer from the death ball of Mutalisks that Zerg players can actually throw at them like this. And this can be very, very unfortunate indeed if you're not actually ready for it. I'm not actually sure what that little thing is there. It's like an orb. StarCraft 2 UFO. Excellent. Alright guys, well thank you very much for watching. I hope the sound quality was a little bit better in this game. This was the first game that I actually managed to bring Game of Drones, or Little One as he is known, into I don't know, one of my videos, and I'm very, very happy about that, because he is a really, really infamous player. I mean, check it out, really. He's got 187 supply at the end to 73. It kind of says it all. FAGGLE really, really did get a bit smashed at the end there, unfortunately. It's just these Mutalisks, most Protoss find them very difficult to deal with, indeed. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely day, and enjoy playing StarCraft. Ciao.